decision. Sometimes there may be a higher purpose for me to engage, and other times I don't.
Yeah, I think we're, yeah, all that stuff's over.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn on this intro real quick
Okay.
so I can share out. And we
Are
can
you
run
like,
over this.
are you doing like your little video intro that you do?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay? Are you
Yeah.
objecting?
No, I'm fine.
We're
I
already,
just was.
you know what? F it. We're already live on Facebook. Hang on.
I'm
Let me
already
just,
with it. It's fine.
no,
Whatever.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, because you know what? It's okay. You know, I don't always stay on script. You know that.
Yeah. I don't either.
So,
None of that works for
oh
me
my God,
anymore.
this peanut butter. I felt like that. Wow, that's such a nice note. You know these people. Oh, I just accidentally erased it. These people, these incredible people, brothers and sisters. You know, I mean, I've taken out 3 loans since right after well, I saw you in Washington, but 3 loans right after we were in New Jersey. Right. I took one out for
Yes.
3, and then one for 6, and then one for like 16,000. Right. And I like paid back as fast as I can, like 30% of anything that I, anything that comes in, anything I earn. And, so most of the contributions we get in are like, the, you know, it's like, $8, $11, $20, $22, 50, which is beautiful, because like Obama and Ron Paul, those elections were, I mean, their fundraising was all small amounts, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
But I get, and I'm always so thankful. We're very thankful, but I get these incredible messages. When I just got one here, and the lady's like just talking about how much it's affected her being able to watch these shows. And I've actually gotten like, I don't know what's going on. I've gotten like 10 of them in the last 5 days. People's messages saying, a couple high vibrational people too. Like one of them told me, she said, I don't know what I would have done in the last, month or two if it hadn't have been for the shows.
I
So that's,
agree.
well, I mean, it's good. And I'm talking to you because we're very, very dear old friends. I forgot we were online. Oh, we're online. Oh, well,
Well, yeah,
that's
there
okay.
was a bit of telepathy even through pretty close to the beginning when I started like watching, and then it's like, I don't know, then I was like really in my inner work, and some of the telepathy that was just coming through, I just basically kind of just went inside my own knowingness about that and just be quiet. And
Yeah.
so I don't really use it a lot right now because I'm so, integrating and merging so many different energies in my body and getting to know what that feels like, and how do
Yeah.
I navigate, and also like the voice, what my words are creating, what I'm
Yeah.
creating when I speak, it's all coming in through my brain. So like, I'm not speaking just because I need to speak. It really, if I come on live, it's because it's time to exercise my voice again, or I'll just feel it. If it's not, I won't. I just
Were
feel
you,
that.
were you feeling it?
I
Were you,
was. I was
so,
thinking, wow, that's kind of, and then I giggled. I thought that's kind of interesting because I
so
thought,
when Morgan reached
you
out
know,
to you, you had already kind of felt it. Were you feeling
something
it?
was, yeah, that
Yeah.
it was time to really feel, to exercise what I'm experiencing, because that's important too, that I need to know, within myself, that what I have to say can be helpful for someone, but only if I'm ready, only if it's, with my own
Absolutely.
harmony, because I've tried it when I haven't been in that alignment, and it's like there's a difference. So what I mean is grounded. Am I grounded in the new
Yeah.
kind of energy that I'm feeling? And is it coming truthfully from my signature, my heart? Or have I listened to so many maybe lives or people's input, what do they call it, channels and all of that? I have to kind of sift through that. So I
Yeah.
limit now. I just kind of get a feeling like Amanda Lawrence, I get a
Mm-hmm.
feeling she's on. And usually it's something I'm already resonating with. And so most of my viewing is about that. Sometimes I'll tune into something that where somebody's really needing to vent. And then I'll see through it what that is. And then they'll come back later and explain or say, this is really what was going on. I needed to speak it though. So I
Yeah.
don't pick a lot of those because I know I get a lot of that in my life anyway, that I'm a listener.
Mm-hmm.
People have a safe place to really vent. And so I'm becoming more balanced about that, of how
Yeah.
often I do that. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, this is cool. So yeah, I just want to kind of give everybody a backdrop because there's a lot of new people in Soulogy Network that there are
Mhm.
viewers, you know. Since
Hi, everyone.
because so yeah, this is a so like okay, so I remember it was the latter part of 2017, and um you were one of my early friends. We made a friendship early.
Mhm.
I don't remember exactly when, but I'd say probably 2016. But
Mhm.
so I remember I started really pushing it into 2017, and Amanda started coming on with me. We did like
Mhm.
we probably did like 3 months of shows, like every couple of weeks, and then of course 2018, Morgan and I got married, and when she came to Georgia, she kind of like just you know there was her and a couple other people, but she kind of put it all together, getting all these people in. At the time, we'd only done like 400 episodes. I remember because Unity Grace was the 400th episode, and that was like in May or June of
Mhm.
2018. And then I was trying to produce other people's shows, and you were one that would come on every week.
Mhm.
And so we would do a lot of stuff together. We do a lot of stuff together, and including your vow of celibacy, which created a lot of animosity between me and another individual. But anyway,
Well,
but we were always been very very close friends, you know.
mhm.
And so it's
Yes,
interesting watching.
if I may,
Mhm.
I think one of the most, it's when I think her name was Shannon. You had Shannon on for once. She
Yeah,
was kind of, and then
yeah,
it was one of the most revealing lives I've ever given concerning my history and
yeah.
what
Oh
brought me to
yeah,
where I was in my
yeah.
awakening. And I just find it's like the timing is so like amazing to me because earlier, a couple hours ago, we had a knock at the door where I live, and it was JW's, the Jehovah's Witness people. That was the religion I was raised in.
I remember. Yeah.
And so a conversation ensued about that how like all of that did affect me. I was a whistleblower in the religion,
Hmm.
a black sheep in the family, all of that stuff. And then where I am now with that is that I've healed myself enough of that it doesn't trigger me. And there now is like a widespread documentary now on this religion covering up sexual
Yeah.
abuse and how they put all the information in an envelope, send it to headquarters, but they never report it to
Hell
authorities.
no, they don't.
So that's all out there. And so the roommate was thinking, oh, wow, she goes, I forgot about that. I would have really liked to like ask them about that. But next time, she said. So I mean,
So yeah,
we kind of like I kind of just see where I'm at now compared to
yeah,
like when we first met and when I first started
yeah,
coming on live, and how much it had helped me basically clear
yeah,
it, to actually speak it. And then repeats of shows come on or whatever,
yeah.
somebody may see that it may help them, but I don't feel the need that I have to go back to that now and talk
No,
about it. It
no.
just kind of comes up or whatever, and then I find where I'm at. I can tell emotionally where I'm at.
Well, it's a really good point of reference, and that time period in Soulogy was actually God, it's been that long.
Yeah.
So it
Mm-hmm.
was the latter part of 2017, the very early. It was the winter of the 2017, early 2018. Because I remember because that's when the Me Too movement kind of started, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you,
Mm-hmm.
you, Kathleen Johnson, Dorian, because Dorian was raised Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
Kathleen had a different story. It was a prominent politician. You had the Jehovah's Witness thing going on, and there was a few others that came out. And then I'm sitting on Donna DeMayo's couch one day. God, Breast and Power, and around the same time after you guys had done your thing, and I got this flashback of being molested, and and I walked outside and did a live in the snow, and it's like 15,000 views, man. I mean, so the energy of
Mhm.
that whole thing, I think, was a really big deal for the feminine to come out, and obviously some masculine too, but I think that was one of the big steps, and I think it's a great point of reference because I look at you now, and I'm just trying to fill in some gaps for people that may not know the story. But I look
Mhm.
at you now, and of course, we saw you what, in October,
Yeah,
September,
before winter.
and yeah, we hadn't seen you in well, it'd been over a year, and
Mhm.
and just like your energy is just like indicative of the evolution of the feminine.
Mhm.
Because I remember when
Mhm.
you came out about your story and how you were a whistleblower and how you detached and you went to work on a horse farm shoveling shit at 50 some odd years old,
Yeah.
and literally, and then you're in this relationship, and you made a choice and said, I no longer want to have be dabbling around in the low vibrational frequencies, and I'm going to go celibate for a while. And you did some brave, ballsy things, man. At
Mhm.
100 pounds dripping wet, and and
Yeah.
so, and then the other thing that I loved, admired about you is that because so many people got tainted. So many, we can call them blue rays or star seeds, but the characteristics are important, not the label, and that is black sheep, just like your story, black sheep,
Mhm.
victimized, and so
Mhm.
on and so on and so on. And yet, and then I always used to say that Soulogy is not a social circle; it's an energy. And of
Mhm.
course, we go through these waves, and you were on 3 or 4 of them. These waves of people, and they would be like a social circle. And with the social circle, the lower frequencies would come around, and you always seem to maintain uh, a space of neutrality and
Yes,
nurturing.
because that was it. I mean, that's why I'm attracted to it. Yeah, I have been, people say you're part of some group, because of Soulogy. But then
Mm,
since that, of having regular, I was doing regular, uh, when we kind of set it up that way to do a show with weekly subject or whatever,
mm,
I found that didn't feel like it was flowing for me because it felt like pushed. And
yeah.
so that's why I kind of just let that go. It wasn't because anybody else associated me with, hey, the Soulogy clan or
No,
anything.
no.
It just means I feel safe enough to share my authenticity because you're that way. And
Yeah.
that's all it is. It's not that I'm in part of any group because that's
No,
separation for me.
there is no
so
groups.
so I always would like say that this is what Soulogy is. It's like it's a station you can tune in. You
Yeah.
don't have to watch every show, but I just
Mm-mm.
intuit. I intuit, oh, I want to hear what so and so has to say,
Yeah.
or I feel it. But there's enough honestly going on within my own process that I need to just totally be focused on that. What's new coming
Absolutely.
up? What am I feeling?
Are you in a different place?
Navigating.
Are you in a different place now?
No, I'm still at the one you
In the same
came
place.
to.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
But I
no.
feel like I'm going to be on the move at some point here,
Yeah.
and obviously we don't always know. We don't know. I feel I'm getting ready for that. So
Well, you really like we. I just did a show with Shakina Rose, who
yeah.
I'm really tight with, like I am with you, and I was amazed at the evolution of her frequency because
Mm-hmm.
I've known her and I've spent time with her in 3 or 4 trips to Sedona, and we've collaborated, and we just we
Mm-hmm.
know, like it's like me and you.
Yeah.
It's just like me and you. We're just like brother and sister, and we didn't really talk about it, but I could feel it, and I see the same thing in you. It's so amazing. That's why I brought up the reference point of when you first came out and started talking about your
Yeah.
story, because and you were like just like brutally honest with a smile and a giggle through all the stuff that we were talking about, including your coming out, including your relationship situation, including everything, including being, yeah, I'm not going to go there, but the thing what I was going to say is I can see, and as the individual goes, so goes the collective. I can see the change, and it's incredible what I'm looking at with you
Mhm.
and
I think
her.
I've had a lot of assistance, but if I were to say what really began to like help clear was I knew instinctively I needed a certain kind of water for my cleansing or my, so
Mhm.
I took up with hexagonal shaped water molecules. That helped me begin to cleanse the amount of purging I needed to do. And
Mm.
so it's been my tool and been my assistance. And then also everything I've learned or picked up on or channelings or from shows or whatever opened the door of like, oh, I kind of know this already. And you know, and then it was just the veil kept coming down. And so it still is, it's still coming
Yeah.
down as to what I'm capable of. And the only way I can say is stay in this moment, stay in
Yeah.
this moment,
Yeah.
stay in this
It-
moment. And it's baby steps in this moment right
yeah.
now. Don't go back, don't go forward, stay in this
Yeah.
moment.
And does it feel like to you, like, to me, it's like we're almost not given a choice. Well, I can only speak for myself. It's
Mhm.
almost like I'm being given less and less of a choice. Like if I have a loop playing in my head, like, oh, so and so's thinking this, or so and so did that, or say something like that. And actually, there haven't been any going on for so long. They don't. I can't even really recall a good example, but if I had something like that going on, which is kind of like stuck to the past, it's like it doesn't stick. It's like it like the the dialogue just kind of goes mute. And then if I'm like focusing on the future, like, okay, what can I do? What can I do? Because you know how it's been for me with Soulogy. Like, I need to do this and I need to do that, and now it's gotten to a point where, like, don't do anything. Don't do anything. So what?
Mhm.
The network's not launched yet. So what? It will come. It's already come. It's going to materialize. It's like in other words, the energy is is a present energy. It's I don't want to use the word force, but it's like there's no other choice. Like, I find
Mhm.
myself just like, I'm present. I'm just
Mhm.
present, and it's wonderful. It
Yes, because actually, as we're, that's what I'm feeling in my body. It's coming so quick as far as like really what my whole soul signature is and mission. I don't know what that is. It's
yeah
coming. It's
yeah
coming. It's developing or it's revealing, but it's as the DNA or whatever is changing. Holding on to somebody that wrote a book about this and that about DNA doesn't even work for me.
mm,
It's like it's got to be integrated how it's coming in through me, and then
yeah
that is my participation is to be that whatever that winds up being. I'm not stuck with anything I used to do or whatever I used to like heal or have a modality or this and that. It's even with the say the water business, same thing. Everything in me just kind of stopped, like it
isn't that
stopped, like I'm now beginning a slow begin of an opposite magnetic pull.
yeah
And
it-
so I just trust it. I don't know why, I don't
yeah
judge it. It has been scary not to have an income coming in, and it's not what I thought would be happening, so I just have to go and trust that everything, like I pulled a tarot card, I think it was on one somebody who had a show on for myself, what is going on here, and it was the hangman where you're hanging upside down to see a different perspective. So that's what it is just I kept hearing stop, just stop, pause. It doesn't mean that nothing's changing. It just means you need to slow down, because
yeah
what happens when I'm up and I think I'm going to be doing something, I'm dizzy. I feel like I'm on a ship. I have like vertigo and things like that. So my body says, you got to lay down. So I listen to that. And that's how I get this sort of grounded, um,
yeah
revealing to myself that this is what I personally have to be doing right now. It's a lot of that.
and you know what, you brought up a good point, because this has been it seems like it's been in the collective field. It's certainly been in my field, and I'm sure it was building up, but like the last 3 months, so it'd be like December, January, February, um, for sure, it's like really being emboldened,
Mhm.
and that's like the things that got us to a certain point, they don't apply anymore. Like
Mhm.
even the stuff that
Mhm.
happened yesterday. Like even the things that, like you mentioned, modality, like you are habits or books or references.
Practices. Yeah, they can be
Yeah, and it's
practices. Yeah.
like all of a sudden they're just like every day you wake up and it's just a new game, you know.
Hmm.
And I've heard a lot of people on the show talking about this, how, and I've watched practitioners that have been out there for years uh, start changing direction and changing course, and instead of over identifying with a modality or a process or a divine essence, they start to come into their human more
Hmm.
and get a little bit more real
Hmm.
and modify their modality or trash it and even come up with a new one or something. I've even
Hmm.
heard some of them say, I'm not doing anything right now, kind of like what you're saying. I'm just
Yeah,
kind
I
of like
mean,
sitting
I
back.
really heard it mentioned, which I forgot, that that is part of it. It's a magnetic shift. So
Yeah.
magnetism is shifting, and so your if your body's in it, then of course trying to make it do something that feels like you don't know, doesn't feel authentic, and then you see what happens when you do push on and it's not in, it's like a flow. So I keep like just visualizing, think of the river. The river goes around a rock and it's just flowing, and then things show up. I mean, that's the main thing that keeps me, this water thing is what keeps me kind of in the flow of the mystery, the alchemy, and all of that. And I don't have to know it. I don't have
Yeah.
to know what. And that, some of this, like, I think maybe kind of scared me a while ago, was that to embody that you are source energy means you're also connected as an ascended master with all consciousness. That might have frightened me for a while. Now I'm beginning to like, okay, well, that just means I just need to not jump in, just
Yeah.
flow with
Yeah.
it, and don't try to like mentally figure it out. It just
Yeah.
means things are falling away from me. And as that
Mm,
does, then new aspects of my whole totality are coming into my vessel. And I need to be grounded, because
yeah.
otherwise it's like kind of nuts. If you feel
Well,
like all this and that, and you know, so
yeah,
that's
it's
what I'm
like,
doing. I'm
no,
grounding it.
no,
And
I
I
love,
need probably extra weight right now to sort of help me do that. I don't know.
well, I think there's been a lot of people eating. The bodies are burning a lot of energy. I know every morning
Oh,
when I get
yeah,
up,
for sure.
every morning when I get
Yes.
up, I can tell I've been burning DNA.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So like, I think you explained that really well. Um, it's like, I don't know. It's just, it's gotten really loud, right?
Hmm.
It's gotten really
Hmm.
loud, especially this first few weeks of the year. Like it's like the information is clear, and I love what you said too, because if you look back at, say, 2 years ago or 3 years ago or 4 years ago, and I know probably everybody can relate to this. There was a time for most of us, and everybody's different, and it doesn't mean anything's better or worse, but there's a time when things start to click or you start to connect. Some people channel, some people transmit, some are lucid dreams, some are creative expressions, and you're like piped in, mainlined, to infinite intelligence. And it's like we took a pole vault, you know we were these
Hmm.
little humans, and then we took a pole vault and we're up there, and so many of us, me included, stayed up there and played up there and communicated from that level. Oh, Jesus came to see me and told me this, and what's your story?
Hmm.
And so we're all up here, and
Or
it's like,
ETs, visits
yeah,
of
our
ETs
ETs.
and such. Yeah, it's really fascinating. And I know that's all there too. But I find myself kind of like, I need to ground.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. It's like now, and I'm seeing this in people that have been putting out information in that are known, that have been up in here, and everybody's being brought down here. And it's not down. You know what I mean? As below, above, as within, without, right? So it's like we're
Mhm.
all, and I don't want to use the word force, but we're all ultimately going to have to embody whatever it is that we've picked up in the multidimensionality, galactic, angelic, and all that.
Mhm.
And that really levels the playing field. That really brings in a no
Yeah.
separation and oneness frequency, because you can't hide the bullshit, and you get past the embarrassment, get past the self-consciousness. I think we're being asked to step up and step out, not in like, some grandiose way, but I actually think,
Presence, being
yeah,
present. Yeah.
presence. And I think I really feel that what's happening right now, and we just had that show with Shakina, and she actually talked about this too, in a post she did a couple of days ago and on the show. And I think the feminine, which is primarily the females,
Mm.
they're incarnated in a female body primarily, because they've had that journey. They're actually the ones leading the way.
Mm.
They've been more present anyway in the light worker circles since I've been involved over the last 6 years, 6, 7 years. They've
Mm.
always, we know this. There's been 80%, 20% men, but I mean, I think that's what's happening, and I think it's a totally different frequency.
It's
That
definitely, the was it you just had a guy on, he's from the UK, was talking about, and he had a history of alcoholism, and he
Dr.
was,
Joe, Dr. Joe.
yes, he was talking about some of the goddesses in the earth, like Sophia, and then the being able to go into the very, very dark.
Yeah,
And I've done some meditations around that, like they call them spirit journey to your totem, of like your animal totems or whatever. But you go in deep into the center of the earth in a cave, and it's dark, and there's nothing there, and then all of a sudden you begin to see a vision. So I mean, I'm not afraid of doing that. I've always kind of been okay with like dark caves and that type of thing. And that's what I feel sometimes is the root. It's just like, and I'm really the cereal. So like gardening, you think about, you plant a seed and it's down there. You don't see what's going on down there, but you trust that little thing's going to come up and you're going to have a plant. It's kind of like me. That's what I'm saying. This is like me, that I don't really know, but I'm down in there and I'm watering myself, figuratively. And that I can trust that. I can trust that magical alchemy that I'm developing, coming moment to moment or through my dream state, it's all working with me if I don't
yeah.
fight it. If I'm trying to like distract myself too much or whatever by doing like the masculine, oh, I need to be doing this because I was in
Or with
sort of
anything.
I'd had like 2 injuries this year from that, and then it put me down for like almost 6 months with a
I
torn
remember
knee.
that.
And that's what it was. I was trying to kind of like, well, I didn't have rent coming in, so I felt I needed to be active to help around here, and I would get myself going, and then I would be like twirling up really high, and I'd be high, and then I would have some practices or whatever. I was having a
Mm,
great time, but then boom, I hurt myself. So I
mm,
realized that was not in balance, because I really wasn't processing my own inner work like I needed to, or what would come
mm.
up, just keep bypass it, just keep going. And so that's why I learned the hard way. that
Yeah.
that's not
Well,
working.
hey, I think,
That's not working.
yeah, I mean, I think that everybody, was it a hard way? I mean, I think everybody's, proportionate to their experience. There's been these periods, but I think one of the things that you're bringing up too that I think has been up earlier this month for sure, is distraction,
Mhm.
which can take the form of addictions. And we
Mhm.
got this
Yes.
message the first part of the month, and it was made clear to us that, hey, we're not just talking about traditional stereotypical addictions here. We're talking about, being on the phone and being distracted,
Mhm.
going up
Mhm.
and down a news feed for 2 hours, or
Mhm.
whatever, eating, shopping. I mean, there was a big long list of this. Morgan did a post on it.
Yeah, I
And this
saw
seems
that
to
one.
be, yeah, this seems to be part of, well, you can't be present if you're distracted. And
Mhm.
there's all these subtle, I want to say low level distractions that we don't even think about. And after this happened, she went to Kansas City for 9 days. I spent a lot of time thinking about what was said to us, what are distractions, what are addictions. And I'm talking about, I got to the point where I realized that what they were using the term, which isn't like the 3D term, but distraction, addiction, whatever, is a really a moment by moment kind of deal, because you can go into distraction like that, and so I
Mhm.
really started to pay attention to that. And I'm not done with it. I'm just working my way through it, but that
Mhm.
seems to be one thing. And the other thing that I think that's come up, which I think because of our experience together, interacting together, we can understand each other, which is the authentic relationships and communication. Like, and I'm not talking judgment here. I'm just saying we all have been going through stuff. There was some social circle-ish type cliquish things going on in all of our lives. We all saw it on the community, in the communities where people would project and like you said earlier, somebody will come out and kind of project and come back the next day and explain it. So we've all kind of go through this stuff, but it seems like we're being held, we're being held to our true nature. We're being supported.
Mhm.
So I think that's
Yes.
why for some people in some parts of our makeup individually, we get, we get a big swift kick in the ass when we resist it because, it is supporting us to move that direction and we can either let
Mhm.
go or be dragged.
Well, yeah, I could call it that. That's one way. That would be more the masculine viewpoint.
Mm,
The feminine went like, oh boy, now I can really go inward and do, I love art. So I went and took
mm,
that and I began to create things. I began to crochet a lot. And
yeah.
so every time these big old energies would come through, I was crocheting and it would be like a meditational thing for me to handle
Yeah.
the energies, and it was creative, and I would usually have music on or something. It would be
Beautiful.
something, and that's how I integrated and kind of wove it into my being. And I was
That's
like, well, that was my
beautiful.
gift. It wasn't at first you could look at it, oh, poop. Now I can't do what I want to do because I'm hobbling around and I'm in pain. But I'm like, really, some of those things in my life have just brought me back to this, there's just as much a gift. So I go, well, I would rather not do that again. So when I hear my body sort of kind of like, oh, you're going to have to lay down because I'm nodding off, it's because there's a bunch of energy coming through me that is so fast, it's so heavy that I need to do that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't really be able to keep a 9 to 5. There's no way. I don't want to be driving either if I'm having that come on, because it comes on and it's because of the energy that's coming through. So
That's
my
what,
body is like really trying to adjust. Until it adjusts, it's doing what it needs to do. So I'm in good contact with physically the body, and I are communicating what is it
yeah.
that we need, and I listen to that now more than ever. I
Yeah.
really
Me,
do. And it's
me
not because
too.
somebody said
Yeah.
this or that. I mean, there's a celery juice thing going on. I'm trying that to see how that works. That works for me to get the minerals in my body that say maybe you're really hungry a lot. You're trying to get minerals because there's such a fast amount of water going through you, and energy. And I think the
Mhm.
body's just trying to find its equilibrium. So I don't, if it says, hey, can I please have chocolate? I mean, I have what I want.
Yeah.
I just do.
Yeah, a couple of points. One, that's a great point. Morgan does mandalas, and I can remember
Yes, I do
even
them
over,
too. Yes.
yeah, I
Hmm.
can remember like over the last couple of years when she'd be in Australia, we might go and there was heavy energies and heavy activity. We might go like a week to 10 days and talk 3 or 4 times, and the whole
Hmm.
time she'd be doing mandalas. And then
Yes.
the other thing she introduced me to here, you might have heard of me talking about. We watched Outlander. I hadn't watched TV in
Hmm.
years. I hadn't watched TV in like 8 years,
Hmm.
and it was last summer, and we were in Hawaii, and there was heavy energy, and it was a lot of heavy masculine energy. And I was going for walks, and I noticed she was watching a show, and so eventually I found out what she was doing was processing
Hmm.
with ease and grace. Now at the
I do that too.
time,
I do that
yeah,
too.
right. And
Hmm.
so at the time, I was having massive purging, right? Like I was having physical purging, and you know what I'm talking about in all ways, right? And so she said to me, you don't have to do that. You can go through, you can go through with ease and grace. I'm like, okay, well, so I asked to purge through dream state, and I
Hmm.
started to. That's how I started to realize when I was purging, because I would have these dreams with certain characteristics where I was purging. So that helped me a lot because then I didn't have so much of a toll on my body. And then like watching the movies,
Hmm.
sometimes now we do that, so like we're like, hey, well, you know what? Why don't we just watch a movie? You don't do a session, you don't try to
Hmm.
figure anything out. Just watch a show. And then
Hmm.
the crazy thing is some kind of message will come through, right?
Hmm.
Some kind of message will come through. The other thing that you're bringing up that I see, we're like brother and sister, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There's like at the first of the year, all of a sudden, you know, in this dialogue with the higher self integrating to the human, I just kind of got it. Like, I don't have to do anything, and I don't need to do anything, period.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to notice that when somebody would tell me, you have to do this or we need to do that, I'm like, in my head, I might not say, if I'm on a show, I might not say something, you know, contrary, but I would say, you know, that just doesn't resonate.
Mm-hmm.
You can't,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I mean, to thine own self be true. You can't, I am my own
Mm-hmm.
master, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
Even as my own master, I don't have to do anything. I don't need to do anything, you know. And I think this is what's so strange about 2020, because we're like walking in this space. It's very unfamiliar. It's magical and it's alchemical and it's aligning. And we can obviously kind of flow with that river you're talking about, but it's all being learned as we go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
you know, it's to
And
me very positive.
keeping what, like you said, to keep your own balance within your own beingness and what is coming purely from your self creating, and not so much out there, then you do have to like stay sovereign to your own truth. And if you get too much information, I have to sort of sift through. If I listen to too many things from
Yeah.
others, then I have
Yeah.
to sift through, and that makes me have to work harder. And I'm like, so don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't have to do that. So I just kind of intuit when it's something I'm ready to tap into, whether it's the higher self or what, that,
Totally.
oh, then I get, oh, okay. And then some days I may not tune in at all, but usually there's something lately that has been really helpful, but also just to see other people's process about their own process has
Yeah.
been helpful to see and observe. And then where I resonate is that, oh, okay, I'm doing that here in my little mini community too. There's intensity here. There's all
Hmm.
of that that you would find on the outside, but I'm actually having more control of it because this is me controlling me, of like how I react. And then I get to, what do you call it? Exercise new skills that I didn't know I
Bingo.
had. I didn't know I had these skills because something arrived and
Bingo.
I got to do this, and it was in the perfect environment for that.
I remember when I was about to graduate high school, my best friend's dad was real influential with me. And I remember him telling me, he was having one of those talks with me, what do you want to be when you grow up and all that. And he said, let me give you some advice. Whatever you saw in high school, you'll see in college. You'll see in the business world. You'll see in the spiritual environment, you know, like church. Wherever you go, there'll be the same proportion of, you know, these type of people, these type of experiences, and this, you know, across the board. And you just made a comment about the community, and you're absolutely right. It may not look as flagrant or as loud or toxic as it might look in, say, a, you know, say a extremist group or something, but it's
Mm-hmm.
still the same thing proportionate to the collective group. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's really important, to remember that we're a part of everything. We're going to continue to be shown everything until we're doing what you're saying that happens with you. These are exercises. These are opportunities. You know, we talked about it before the show came on, about some of the personal things that we've kind of experienced together, observed together, and I utilize these situations and these people and still do today, because it's not them. Nobody did anything to me. The human
Mm-hmm.
aspect felt like it did, and the human aspect wanted to kick someone's ass or tell them off. But the higher self has come in and said, no, this is
Mm-hmm.
you. It's,
Mm-hmm.
you're seeing it because there's something in you. And this isn't a cliche anymore. You know, so I bring these people and these experiences into my heart, into my heart, into my heart, just like you're talking about. And you start to level up, and you start to level up. And then that noise just gets more and more muted.
Mm-hmm. I also realize that, because we're each unique individual souls, that sometimes there's something that comes up that is somebody else needing to express. I don't always immediately think, what is that in me? I just
Mm-hmm.
allow it. And then if there's been some times here, well, I'm not the one that's projecting from a deep source of pain, nor was anyone else to be responsible for that coming out of me because of what I needed to heal. So I see that part of it too, that I was the person that needed to clear what had happened to me, whether or not I called that into my world or not.
Yeah.
The practical way for me that helped that was to realize that, well, I can, because I've been through that, now I can see more compassionately what somebody else may be experiencing, but they can't articulate it. They don't even realize they're having that.
Yeah.
And then I can also say, I can remain calm, and I can just put my, like, I don't have to engage with it. You know, there's just a sort of it's sort of an energetic thing. And then I can feel it coming up. Usually I'll feel it's coming up. Maybe it's telepathy or a sense that this issue is going to come up. And the more, so I just like, that's when I do the love. That's when I bring the love in. It's before it even comes in to a conversation. I'm like, I can feel this is in the area. It's in my realm. And then I'm like, well, whether or not I'm calling it up to face that now, because I notice I get anxious or I feel a little like, you know, there's going to be a confrontation or something. And so that's when I deal with it. That's why it's important. Listen to your body, because your body will tell you somewhere you're feeling tired, you're holding your breath, and then keep checking in there. And then that's how I handle it now before it even gets to some kind of conversation and that's really been working. That's been working here because, we have a situation here that about that it can be intense, but we did get a structured water unit put in here. Tom Gingrich helped us do that finally after a couple of plumbers.
Tom.
Thank you,
Tom.
Water angel. And so now we're all showering in this hexagonal water that brings you back to your balance. There has made a big difference with that. And people want to come stay, and people want to hang out. And it's like, well, no, we've got enough going on here. But, that's the thing that I notice about it, that the whole energy field not only helps you, but it helps whoever your neighbors or who comes around, and the animals. And so, that's been my big thing. And also it's helped me be able to be more balanced and centered when a big rush comes. Like a big rush is something that's big. It feels like a big wave, If my little kayak or something is got another person or something not paddling with me, that thing's going to topple over. We were talking about that this morning. It's like, okay, I can't take on any other people. I'm enough for this kayak. That's it. And a wave's coming, so I got to navigate this wave. Best my intuition teaches me.
Having someone else in your kayak is like walking on water at this point. Nobody should have anyone else in their freaking kayak, in their canoe. Nobody. Row your own boat. Now, you were just saying about okay, so, and I watched this happen too, and I know you did too, because we were kind of came into the game at the same time. I mean, it was like, and we knew a lot of the same people. We know a lot of the same people. And what that was the spiritual bypassing. And I don't mean like spiritual bypassing like rhetoric. I'm talking about something comes in your field in these with the utmost conviction, you shut the door, you close the window, you turn the other way and say, okay, no thank you, right? But if you haven't dealt with that energy that's represented by, say, a person that victimized you or whatever the case is, it's gonna come back. And I'm seeing that, and I'm seeing the humility being injected through, through the toughness, through the humiliation of it not going away, and because we cannot blame anything external. This is a given. And I think from a human aspect, that's been kind of a difficult thing. One of the things that I'm really starting to hear from my field is fear-based programming. Now, a minute ago, you were talking about the effect of, say, external pressure, and some of the things in the community that you wouldn't think you see because we're light workers. You will only see that at the Catholic Church group or this group or that group. Well, I'm seeing a lot of, disclosure. When does it become a distraction? Conspiracy theories were great because they help wake us up, but when do they become a distraction?
Mm-hmm.
This fear-based programming is not unique to things outside of the Lightworker, Starseed, Blu-ray, whatever you want to call these circles. What I'm starting to understand is that fear-based programming is being carried forward uh, in our circles, and it's no different than outside of our circles because it's fear,
Mm-hmm.
coronavirus, 5G,
Mm-hmm.
EMFs, fluorides. You know what? None of that stuff has anything on us. Look at all the things that we've overcome. Our bodies are transforming. We don't, and we don't need to be spiritually bypassing and saying, oh, I'm not going to look at
Mm-hmm.
that. We just need to look at that and say, I know that's part of the perfect cosmic puzzle and divine plan that we designed. And I'm going to continue to focus my efforts on expanding myself because that's how I serve the collective. I don't want to hear about everybody's stories about 5G and EMFs and all this crap because it's
Mm-hmm.
just crap. The
Mm-hmm.
injection of from a subliminal level or a spoken overt level is a program. Programs are spoken.
Mm-hmm.
There's more power in the
You can
energy
feel
of
it.
suggestion. Yeah.
I mean, really, when something's spoken, that's the thing that I think we're coming into, the power of a word or what is behind the word that
Yes.
is spoken.
Yes.
So the feeling of that that's coming out or behind what is spoken is what I'm tuning into better.
That's
The
right.
feeling of the intention, because that is everything. And the more I do that with me, the more I'm feeling what it is when I hear information, because
Yeah.
sometimes it's coming through television or so it's coming through the communities on the internet. The same thing. I'll have my body starting to feel when that feels like, do you want more of that? Do we want, so we'll make a decision. Do I want more of that? Ooh, this is feeling, and it's not to like not face if it's something with me, but it's also like I'll feel the tactic or the intent behind it more now.
Absolutely.
And that's where I'm going with it. And the quietness of being with me has brought that to my attention to have more clarity there.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. And so I limit that, how much, because you can get it in the waves of even not on TV, but telepathically you can pick up this energy and
Absolutely.
this
Absolutely.
but I can tell, I'm beginning to see the difference of when it's truly coming from the all source of pure love,
Hmm.
unconditional, but also when it's also like trying to warn me because it's afraid or something. There's a whole different
Yeah.
feeling to that.
It's
So
your gut.
that
Yeah.
is, yeah, that's listening more to your intuition. That's your feminine intuition, and that's what we're coming on board with,
Yeah.
more and more.
That's right.
So
And
yeah.
available to the men too.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
and I and I can, I can attest to that because I have the contrast of being with a woman who's highly intuitive and her intuition is like most of y'all,
Mhm.
pretty much online all the time.
Yeah. And I
But
get the opportunity to share that because, even with other women, um, they'll say something and I can just mirror back and, hey, well, what are you feeling about that? Do you really want to say yes? Or do you really,
yeah,
what's your body doing?
see,
Because
that's
I'm
such a
sharing that.
that's such a perfect example.
Uh-huh.
If something comes up, you know,
Mhm.
a man will say, "What do you think about that? What are your thoughts?" A woman will say, "Well, how do you feel about that?"
Mhm.
That's a totally different thing, and that's what it's like. And that's what the thing with the body. The body's like, because the body's talking louder and louder. Like, I don't want that. That
Mhm.
doesn't feel good. That didn't feel
It's
right. I
it,
didn't
it's a
like the way that
it's a
sounded.
it's a sensory thing. It's a vibrational frequency, and maybe more than we even know, but that you can't really articulate sometimes.
Mm,
It's just it's a sense, a feeling, and a vibration, and a sound, and a like those are the things I want to tune more into
yeah,
because that's the bigger universe.
yeah. Let's see. This brother Joseph Lamb, he put up a comment. I want to clarify something. So
Okay.
he's given an example of vaccination. There are many topics that are tough, but not crap. I said the crap, okay, and I'm going to stick by crap, and I'll tell you why. Like that of vaccinations, they have been engineered against the people. Now, this is my point. We all went through an individual traumas, plural. You went through many traumas. Your story is horrific. Morgan's is horrific. I went homeless in the streets for 2 years. I didn't suffer like 98% of the people out there. But everybody had their traumas, which is just as painful in their lives, proportionate to their experience. Okay. It's the same thing. Everybody's pain's the same. Now, GMOs, fluoride, fear-based programming, vaccinations, chemtrails, false narratives, hidden history, all of that stuff is trauma of the collective. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just like as we have learned in our journey, we can continue to expand if we let go of the freaking stories.
Mm-hmm.
The same goes for the collective. It's not spiritual bypassing. It's about making new choices, just like we've done in our own lives. If somebody wants to stick a needle on my arm, I'm going to tell them to fuck off and go down the road, and with love, you know,
Mm-hmm.
unconditional love. F you. It's not for me. See you later. This is sovereignty. Sovereignty isn't something that, you know, it is our nature. But in this trip, in this experience, we are here to expand the definition of sovereignty by matching our mind, body, spirit, by merging our physical and non-physical, by merging our free will with universal will. We can say, I refuse to participate, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So when do these things become a distraction? They become a distraction when they take us off our game, when our focus is no longer on ourselves.
I giggle
Period.
because I know you call it a game. A lot of guys call this whole thing the game of life, and I'm like, I don't call it a game. I mean, I know some people do. Like, this is part of the game. Here's some tools for the game, and I'm like, I don't. Any game that I've ever been part of or whatever, like a board game or whatever, I didn't really enjoy that. You know, I liked alchemy and the creational process. That's just me, but that doesn't
Yeah.
mean there's anything wrong with that. But I notice when I'm going down a path where it just doesn't feel in like the happiest part I'd rather experience. If I
Yeah.
want to go there and I do have to speak up about something, I'll do it. But then I'm like, I'm not going to spend my whole day in my mind about what mad at somebody or mad at the whoever created this and that, because that takes me out of my peace. My inner peace to me is very valuable. If it's my currency, it's my life force. It's my currency. So if you're going to talk about money or whatever, that is my true wealth. If I'm going to pay all of that out to all that of attention to these various things that we're having to go through as humanity, that I wind up depleted. I just realize I can't do that. I can't be worried about this and that. And I'm living in an environment where I'm facing that right in front of me. I'm just going to love this person. They're making their free will choice, sovereignty. And yet I've made it very clear where I'm at with it. But somehow we're still cohabitating. I'm still loving unconditionally. I'm not judging. I'm just saying I don't agree, and that's where I'm clear.
Exactly. And you are practicing the frequency to thine own self be true.
Yes.
Right? You are not, I mean, the whole point is, look, the wounded healer frequency, which isn't just about healing. We're talking about a codependent frequency. I'm a wounded healer, so I'm going to go out and heal people. I'm going to go out and tell people, don't do this and do that, and you need to do this and you need to do that. What am I not doing? What I'm not doing is taking care of me. And if I take care of me, then that is the greatest contribution I can make to the collective. That's the Jesus message. That's the Buddha message. That's the Amma message. Okay. That's the Magdalene message. That's the Kuan Yin message. That's our message. That's who we are. You know, we've been handed these templates. These templates are the Akashic, you know, the universal cosmic Akashic. We've forgotten. That was part of what we designed. Okay. Now we've gotten the information back. Now, what do we do with this information? Do we need all of this stuff in detail before we make our move? No, we can do what you're describing. That is to, hey, I don't watch every video on Soulogy. I just follow the intuition. I don't read every post on a news feed. I follow the intuition. The universe is working with us. It's guiding us. Our higher self is guiding us to where we need to be. We move with that. And I guess what I'm
Mhm.
trying to say is, I look at this in these communities, and they could be a light worker community. It could be a religious community. It could be some other positive community. Why am I seeing extreme posts about different issues? Why am I seeing division and separation? To me, it's not unity when you have, and I don't care what the subject is or what the group or the movement is. If I have QAnon supporters on this side, they live and die with QAnon, and I have on the other side the polar opposite, or Trump and Sanders, or whatever the case is. Why am I seeing this? Well, what I think we're becoming conscious of now is that when we over identify with one polarity, we are the separation, period. If you're a Muslim and you don't see Christians as absolute equals, or atheists as absolute equals, you're part of the problem. And your God's not going to save your ass, okay? Because
Mhm.
the God's in the mirror. We're not going to have, I'm not going to speak about you. I'm not going to have the balance that feeds expansion, that ignites expansion. And that's
Y-
what the universe is all about, is expanding.
Yeah, but all you have to do is look in the mirror and say, well, how do you really feel now that you feel this way? How are you really feeling in your body with what you're trying to project out there and what you're trying to staunchly believe?
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel? How does it feel for you? Does it feel good? Does it feel like this is what you want more of? You want more of that? So I ask myself these things.
Very
No, I
good.
don't want more of that. So it is,
Yeah,
we get a choice in that
that's right.
moment. And if I need to cry, I'll notice I just cry because I'm sure it's related to something, but I don't have to know what it is. I just
No.
allow it to happen. And then I'm fine. And then I'm like, oh, that made me a little melancholy. Like, I'm just allowing my body to do what it needs to do naturally. And it could
Yeah.
be because I'm sensitive to what other
Yeah.
people are feeling. So that's my way of dealing with it. Sometimes in the past, because I'd get angry. So now if I feel sad, I just let it flow. Instead of holding it, I let it flow. And then I
Mm-hmm.
cry. And then I'm like, yes, that feels sad. But I realize what I can do here is come to my center and my peace and my love. And even if I can't control anything, I can control how I feel. And that will do a lot for the vibration and the resonance.
I love what you said. I love what you said, because, Morgan says this all the time. It's all about, the loops come around until you make a new choice.
Yeah.
So by our choices, we are creators, period. We were unconsciously choosing before. We didn't understand that everything we were doing, to the degree that it went, was creating our reality. Now we do. So we have
Mm-hmm.
to be not just co-creators, collaborators, co-creators. We have to be conscious
Mm-hmm.
co-creators, which
Mm-hmm.
means if I say I have to do this and I need to do that, and you need to do this and you have to do that, if I'm if I'm if I'm too far on one side of the 0 point, I am the separation. I don't give a damn how idealistic I might think my actions are. I don't
Mm-hmm.
care, because
Mm-hmm.
we are everything. So and it's not impossible to bring heaven to earth. Heaven being a frequency, or a field of vibration made up of many, many frequencies, where dark and light are merged, and wrong and right, from human terms, are merged,
Mm-hmm.
and good and evil in human terms are merged. And this happens by the choices we make. See, when you make a choice like you describe, you're not spiritually bypassing. You're making a choice for your own field, your own
Mm-hmm.
environment, which as within without.
Yes.
We cannot contribute to the collective in any greater way than to make a choice for to thine own self be true, to make a choice in our best interest, in alignment
Mm-hmm.
with free will and universal will. That's the greatest contribution we can make, because that mirrors out in an exponential level into the field, the collective
Yeah,
experience.
it's been said too, that I know this, that we're a whole. Everything dark, the deepest dark, the contrast of like the most heinous crime person or whatever people have projected on others. Then there's the opposite of that, but it's all in the whole. We're all in there. Now it's up to me what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to take my vibration and use that
Mm,
energy of what I want more of. Do I want more of that? So if I'm
yeah.
fighting and I'm protesting and all of that,
Mm,
I find myself agitated, and I'm like, well, that's not
mm,
more of what I want, and my body will tell me because I have like adrenaline rushes, and then I know that's like a lot of hormonal chemicals that get me all fired up. Some
yeah.
people like thrive on that. It makes them
Mm,
feel like they have power, but it's really not, because it's toxic
that's
to
right.
your body. So I've learned that from my body and me talking, and through years of adrenaline, post trauma stress, how to manage that.
Yeah.
So my brain is functioning better if I don't go there. Like if I, oh, I see. And so I'll maneuver myself to get in a calmer state, whether it's go for a
Yeah.
walk, drink a bunch of water. I find my own little ways of helping me come back into my equilibrium. Otherwise
Yeah.
my little kayak's going like this all over the
Yeah.
place.
All
And
right.
and then
I love
next
what
thing you
you,
know, boom.
yeah. Well, I love what you said because it's important, because when you make a choice, you're not damning the other side.
No,
You
we're
know,
not
you're
saying it
making a,
doesn't exist.
yeah, you're not,
No.
you're making a choice, and you're saying this is how I want my experience to be.
Mhm.
And you're not damning the alternative or the part you didn't choose. You're just and this is what we're all learning to do. And as we make the choices that most align with our soul individually, there's a collective soul that's aligning, and this is the heaven to earth frequency. And it's so if we're and I've got to tell myself this, and I do. If I'm adamant, overly adamant, extreme conviction, I gotta do this because it's going to help people. Wounded healer. Anything that creates less than 100% focus on myself is an external. Uh, it's at a minimum a byproduct of fear-based programming.
You probably get that. I've got that too, because I could live here every night or every day when I go to sleep at night. I could be in a state of fear that I'm going to lose somebody I love, because
Yes,
that's how it is. It's moment to
I know.
moment.
Yeah,
And so I'm like, I have a choice about this now.
yeah,
How do I want to live with this? Because I'm not going to be able to control or change somebody else. And so when it comes to other people suffering, I have suffered so much because of other people hurting, that I realize that isn't helping them. It's not
yeah,
helping anybody. It's not helping me. And so I think I just recognize that now. And how does that feel? Where's my power? The more I stay in my power, the more others around me are being more in their level of like some kind of stability, whatever that may be for them. It's still better. It's better than being
yeah.
the other way. So
That's
that's just something,
yeah.
maybe it's just by letting go of that old, what you were talking about. What did you just say? The wounded healer. I've
Well,
had that. I've
yeah.
had that
Well,
with
it's
me.
yeah, because a wounded healer frequency. I'm talking about a frequency
Yes, an
or a
energy.
program. A
Yeah.
program. Let's call it a
Mm-hmm.
program. It does. It's not just a healer helping other people and therefore disregarding themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than that. To me, that frequency is a codependent frequency, and part of it. Look. If you want to, if we want to talk about how did this all happen, if we want to talk about the story, all right,
Mm-hmm.
and not just throw it down to anything external that takes my power away, is a program, and I don't care what it is. Okay, it could be my girlfriend, it could be my brother, it could be anything, a non-person, it could be something else. But I guess what I'm saying is, if you look at the story, the narratives, and there's many narratives, but let's say we just kind of take the middle of the road there. The part of us as everything is me, that took on the role of the 1%, let's just say, has had information thousands of years in advance. They've controlled the narrative. This is me. This is you. This is just a part, the part of us that chose to play that role. What makes you think anything's changed now? You know, this is why it's so important not to get caught up in, we give our power away every day. We give our power away to becoming, a fanatic, following a certain person or a group or a certain belief or whatever the case is. This is the new age, and the new age is about 100% responsibility to thine own self, be true, and be a conscious creator. And you know what's so crazy? It's not all the bells and the whistles and all the, all the astral projecting and channeling. It's just at a very human level, making choices. Morgan says, choose yourself in all moments. And,
Mm-hmm.
we think it's going to be like this big, thick book, like Beowulf, right? And
I
it's
think
just a
it's
little,
what it's not even a book. What shows up at the moment is your book. It's whatever
right.
comes into you, your field or whatever. That would be okay. So now you draw upon, all the stuff that you've learned up to now and your tools, and what do you let go? You just go. It's a moment to moment thing for me.
Yeah. It is a
Otherwise,
moment to moment.
I don't know how many, like probably the last time we talked or whatever, like in the last 2 years, books I bought, the Gene Keys. I mean, I could make a list of tons of books.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I bought them, and I kind of like thumbed through it, went through it, and read a few things, and then I was done.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
I was like,
No, I
nope,
get that.
it's not. I don't need a Bible.
Yeah.
I don't need a Bible.
Look, we have the ability, and the only, okay, like, so as an example, Shakina on the last show, she said, I had a deva come and sing to me. She said,
Mhm.
no, Todd, I had a deva physically materialize in front of me. It looked like a kind of an oval orb with lips, and sang to me. And I said, okay, income, how does everybody experience anything? One person does it first, right?
Mhm.
Now, are you going to tell me that we've had incredible people on this show in 1,750 episodes? I counted a couple nights ago. And if I can put my hand on a book and I can merge or integrate with the context and the energy of that book and learn everything without opening up a page, then that means everybody's going to be able to do it. If
Yes.
you have a method of, which I think this is common, I think much more common today, this intuitive navigation of material and information in the physical, be it on a
Mm-hmm.
news feed, be it on YouTube, be it in a book, where you
Mm-hmm.
open a book and you just happen to find what you
It,
need,
it could be music too, like through a song,
Mhm.
lyrics, or a sound or something,
Yeah.
vibrational music too. I've noticed that I used to wake up with songs in my head, and it would kind of set my day,
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it could be that too.
Yeah. And that's another thing too, is, and again, okay, so that's another thing too. I've had people on the show that download sequences of numbers, that download light language GIFs, whatever you call them, GIFs or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, graphics, different things. They say, okay, just do this and it'll change you, basically. And I'm going, what? But then I think about the placebo effect. The
Mm-hmm.
placebo effect is a real deal.
Mm-hmm.
When we believe something, I'm not talking about the beliefs that limit us. I'm talking about the knowing belief.
Mm-hmm.
When we know we can do something, like if you hand me something, I believe in it. Boom, it's done. Cured.
Imaginal. It's
Healed.
called imaginal cells. You can influence
Yeah.
your cells of
That's
your own
Bruce
body.
Lipton.
Yes.
Because somebody
Mm-hmm.
told me that on the show the other day. I'm not that smart,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah,
Yeah.
the imaginative cells. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
this is another description of that's come out recently. Is the what was it, the 13th frequency,
Mm-hmm.
the rogue frequency, or the rogue, not a black sheep, but the rogue energy. And so the imaginative cells, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, is that like in the metamorphosis of a caterpillar to a butterfly, there's always a group of cells that have the same DNA. There's no alteration of DNA. They have the same DNA, but they choose, because the understanding is that everything's a cycle, that what we're doing now, it's occurred before, it's occurred before, it's occurred before. But what's the difference? At some point, there's a group of imaginative cells that decide to take a different route. And they get attacked, and a lot of their story, or as I understand it, their story is a lot like all of ours. And then eventually it hits the 100th monkey, and everything changes, and the universe expands, and the spiral of all things. And
Yes.
yeah, that to me
That's
was
pretty much it. But I can see that too. That's why it's really, to me, important just to stay in my own beingness, being it, and then don't get too much out here and too much over there. I guess I would liken it, if I'm going to get information and I'm enjoying somebody that's on a live or whatever it is I'm kind of partaking of, like a hummingbird. I've been known to do this. I'll drop in to a group, or I'll drop into a live, and I'll take what it is. And if I'm enjoying it and I'm getting benefited, I'll stay. But otherwise I'll pop out. Okay, enough of that, and I just kind of take like a little hummingbird, sweetness here, sweetness there, or or it's I needed to deal with that.
I'd say it's more like a fairy. It's more like a fairy. You're more like a fairy.
Maybe that's it. I don't know,
but you're right. I used to, I remember like 5 years ago, like when I first met you and when I first started getting online, I used to watch, like a lot of us did, because it helped us wake up. I used to watch a lot of videos. I mean, I'd watch 2, 3, 4 hours of video a night for months, probably for a year and a half, 2 years, and educated myself, 9/11 and, Naki, all this stuff, right? And now I still hit the YouTube. I still hit it, and what I find is, first of all, I don't typically look at a video that's more than 10 minutes. I rarely watch the whole 10 minutes, and regardless of the length of it, I tend to skip through it and pick up, and just like you said, like intuitively just go boom, 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 because you can we're picking up on energy now. That's part of the telepathy thing. And I think what happens is, that information's being transferred, and it takes a little while for the brain to understand it. But that timeline is shortening, and I think also at some level we get what we need, and we don't have to know it. I think you said that earlier, and that's a big part of this change too. I got Richie Sauter. He's Richie?
I do.
Richie, I met him down here. Morgan and I met him down here. He's the real deal. He's the real deal. Anyway, he had to cancel the other night because he got hit with all that energy a couple nights ago when everybody was talking about it. And he's going to come on. I wanted to see if he wanted to come on after you. He's going to come on in 6 minutes, and he's hitting me up.
I think
chomping. God, it was good.
He has something to say.
Yeah, he does. It's good talking to you. It's good seeing you.
Good talking to you too. That's good.
I've missed you.
So that's what I'm
anybody.
Well, that's what it is. Definitely want to. I mean, the vibration will bring us to wherever we're going to be next, and in the right timing. And I don't know. I just stay open to that, and just.
I have a feeling we'll be seeing you again this year, and I have a feeling there's going to be some. I have a feeling there's going to be some gatherings. I know there's going to be gatherings, but particularly in the central, like in the Four Corner states, like that area. And
I'm envisioning that I'll have a little Chinook or a caravan or something that will, kind of for my roamings around until, there's a piece of land somewhere that the earth says, come on, There you go. There we go. All right.
I'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
I love you. Bye-bye.